Welcome to Pique Your Interest, your go-to podcast for all things mortgage and real estate. Hosted by Tanner Greenwald and Tim Malaskis. We bring you expert insights to help you buy, sell, and invest with confidence. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the podcast. I am Tim, and I have a very special guest with me today, Rebecca Thompson from PenFed Realty. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yep, glad you're here. Rebecca just received a very special certification, real estate certification, and as someone who's been in this industry for a really long time, I had no idea what it was. So I had to look it up. I was shocked to find out what it was, and I want you to tell us a little bit more about the HFR certification.
Okay, great. So the HFR is Home Finance Resource Certification.
Okay.
And what it does is it gives me a deeper understanding of the financing and mortgage process. That way I'm able to better guide and educate my clients kind of through the process.
Okay.
You know, buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions that someone makes, and I've seen firsthand how sometimes financing issues can creep up even once you're under contract and actually cause a transaction to fall apart. So what this certification has done is it gives me the tools to start to spot the red flags like early on in the process, to ask the right questions to the lender from the very beginning, and the buyers, really kind of vetting what's going on in the situation, and then preparing my clients for every step of the process. I am able to support my buyers by helping them to compare lenders, the loan estimates that they'll receive, and really curbing their expectations of the process. And for sellers, it's helped me to be able to better guide them through the offers that we receive and the financing that's attached to it. So I really feel like the goal of the certification was just to help me to be able to help them feel more confident in the home buying process, the financing, and to be able to make it smoother to a closing transaction.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I mean, most people will buy, like 2, 3, 4 houses in their entire life. And so you do it once or twice, you think you know what you're doing, but you really don't know as much as someone like you who helps multiple buyers and sellers a year, or someone like me who helps multiple buyers a year. It just makes sense that you would get a certification like this. I think that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So what do you think, you mentioned the mortgage process. What do you think are some of the bigger misconceptions about what the mortgage process is?
I think one of the big misconceptions is that people feel like they must use their current bank, or that it's going to make it an easier transaction for them because the bank already has some of my information. But what I found is that can actually be really limiting their options. I feel like in the beginning it's best to talk to a few lenders, making sure that they're actually talking to some strong local lenders as well. Sometimes they may feel like, I don't know where to start. And that's where talking to your realtors really in the very beginning of the process is helpful, because we know the pulse of the business. We know what local lenders out there are strong, which ones are using some of the Maryland programs and grants that the client may qualify for. And these are really things that sometimes can be missed by a bigger bank or an out-of-state bank. Another misconception that I've been coming across lately is that people think that the pre-qualification letter and the pre-approval letter are the same thing that they receive from a lender, and that could be nothing further from the truth, because the pre-approval letter is going to take a few more steps in the beginning of the process, but really it's going to make your offer stand out, it's going to make your offer stronger, and it can actually help kind of curb some of the issues that we might see later on in the underwriting process. We're coming across them in the beginning and kind of getting them out of the way early. Yeah,
it's funny you mention that, because I received a pre-approval letter from a real estate agent that I work with who had a client come to them already pre-approved with, we'll call it a large national bank. The pre-approval letter says we do one of 3 types of qualifying borrowers. We have this type where we just take their information. We have another one where we pull credit, and we have another one where we collect documents along with a credit report. And the letter that they received from their large national bank was the first one, based on just the conversation that the client had with the person there. And they issued a pre-qualification letter based on that, which, truth be told, we have to do that if that's what someone requests. That's what the law is. However, good real estate agents know there's no weight given to a letter like that. And so, I can say that until I'm blue in the face, and people might not listen. But I think when you say something, you have a position of authority as well, and I think when you say something like that, it carries a lot of weight. So keep it up. Keep telling all the people. Okay, so you're a real estate agent. What are some of the most common financing issues that you see with buyer clients that you work with, and how can you, with this new HFR certification, how can you help them navigate that?
I think being prepared for the lender and the underwriting process. I feel like sometimes it can seem daunting or catch people off guard when they hear, well, my lender wants this document from me. Yeah. So I feel like what I try to do is from the very beginning provide my buyers with a document checklist ahead of time, very upfront in the very beginning. That way, one, they can start preparing and gathering all these documents, and two, they're not caught off guard when the lender's like, oh, hey, I need your tax returns, I need this, I need that. I also like to try to stay in contact with the lender through the whole process, and especially when we get to underwriting, making sure that I'm understanding what underwriting is requesting of them, so that way I can make sure that the clients understand what they need to provide to the underwriters. I feel like underwriting can be daunting, confusing, especially for first-time home buyers, so you have to really encourage them to be patient, but also very, very timely with their responses, staying on track, and just trying to navigate all the parties involved and making sure that I'm kind of on top of all the communication and making sure things are moving forward. I feel like one of the things that HFR kind of helped me to see is that as a new buyer, sometimes it's hard to know. You're telling me to meet with lenders, but I don't know what to say to them or ask them. So what I'm going to start doing now is providing my clients with a checklist or questions that they can go to those initial meetings to ask lenders to help facilitate a conversation. And that way it will help them to figure out who's the right lender for them.
Yeah. No, I think I would say that the group of buyers that are coming out now are asking really intelligent questions. I think that in the past, it was easy. You could pre-approve somebody in a 3 to 5 minute conversation. You would talk to them, get the information you needed, they would give you the docs, you'd pull credit, and you could be done. There's more of a desire for education now from buyers, and I think that's awesome because there's a lot of information out online, right? There's a ton of information available to people now, more than any other time in the history of humans. But not all of that information is good, and so I think that people know that. They do a little bit of research up front, but then they say, all right, here's what I know, but here are the questions that I have, and I think the questions that they're asking are really good now. So awesome. I would encourage you to keep doing that. I think that's great. Yeah, for sure. All right, last question. You were a real estate agent. You're working in one of the tougher markets we've seen in quite a while, and you were running into obstacles with people buying a house, right? They have hesitations because rates are high or prices are high. What is the number one piece of advice you would give to a buyer looking to buy a house right now?
I would say build the right team from the very beginning because it's not just the real estate agent or just the lender. Really, they both have to work together as a team to help get you to your home goal of owning your own home. So I would say from the very beginning, vet a good local lender, or at least a lender that you really trust. Find a local real estate agent. If you go local for both, they're going to understand the local market. There are Maryland-specific programs and grants that can be available, and we're going to be aware of those. So choosing that right team from the very beginning is going to help give you confidence when purchasing a home, and is going to give you the correct guidance to help you actually achieve that goal of making it to that closing table and getting those keys to your new home.
Yeah. Amen. Preach. All right. Well, that was all really good information. Again, congrats on your HFR certification. Again, I had no idea what that was, but I think it's super impressive that you did it.
Thank you.
I know it's not easy to get these designations and these certifications, and so anytime you see a real estate agent's signature line and it has letters next to it, each of those things are a class they've taken or a course that they've been through or whatever it is, a test that they've passed. The idea is to be able to better serve the clients that you work with. So, if you see somebody with a bunch of letters behind their name, it usually is an indication they're going to be a pretty good real estate agent. So, congrats.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.